Ontario has just dropped a bombshell, a 25% surcharge on electricity exports to the EU. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. According to Politico, Ontario Premier Doug Ford didn't just stop at tariffs, he outright threatened to shut off power exports to the United States altogether. For decades, Canada has been seen as a reliable, stable trade partner, a steadfast ally in North America. But that image is now crumbling. A dramatic shift is underway, and the tensions between Ottawa and Washington are reaching a boiling point. On March 27, 2025, newly elected Prime Minister Mark Carney made it crystal clear, Canada is done playing the role of America's loyal economic partner. The era of old-fashioned closeness with the EU is over, he declared. At first, many dismissed it as political posturing. But now, it's clear that Ottawa is not just talking, it's taking action. In a series of escalating statements, Canadian officials have hinted at using their most powerful economic weapons: oil, natural gas, liquefied natural gas, LNG, electricity, and the automotive sector, to send Washington a strong message. The rallying cry, "We will not back down," is igniting national pride across Canada. But south of the border? Anxiety is mounting. Could this trade showdown spiral into a full-blown energy crisis, one that shakes the very foundation of North America's economy? The energy battle begins. The numbers don't lie. In 2024 alone, Canada's crude oil exports to the EU raked in over $70 billion. That's nearly 20% of America's total oil imports. And it doesn't stop there. Canada supplies the EU with roughly 9 billion cubic meters of LNG annually, a critical component of some states' energy consumption. Now, Carney is playing hardball. "We hold these trump cards because our neighbor has imposed unilateral tariffs on us," he declared on March 27, 2025. The very same day, a statement in the Canadian Parliament hinted at something even more radical: we can look for different markets for our energy exports. Washington is watching with growing alarm. If Canada follows through, the consequences for American energy security could be catastrophic. Electricity is another major pressure point. Canada supplied the EU with roughly 65 terawatt-hours, TWh, of electricity in 2024, 20% of the consumption in certain key regions. This cheap, clean energy, generated largely from hydroelectric sources in Canada's frigid north, has long been a boon for you consumers. But what if that power supply is cut or taxed heavily? On March 28, 2025, social media erupted with speculation: will Canada pull the plug? The question took on a new urgency when an unnamed official in the Prime Minister's office declared, "We are reviewing the terms of trade in all areas, including electricity." The implications are staggering: higher energy costs, industrial slowdowns, and a potential economic ripple effect. How far is Ottawa willing to push this? The automotive sector, a new front in the trade war. Energy isn't the only battlefield. The automotive industry, an industry deeply intertwined between the two countries, is now in the crosshairs. In 2024, Canada's automotive and parts exports to the EU exceeded $30 billion. But this trade relationship is symbiotic. American-made components are shipped to Canada for final assembly before being sent back to EU consumers. On March 28, 2025, Carney made a move that sent shockwaves through the industry. A decision was made to strip EU electric car manufacturers of tax incentives. Almost immediately, rumors spread that additional tariffs on EU auto parts were imminent. Some experts warned that this could hit brands like Tesla hard, driving up costs and forcing a dramatic restructuring of supply chains. Ottawa's response? A cold, calculated message: not our problem. It's the tariff initiators' problem. In other words, Washington fired the first shot, now it's their turn to deal with the fallout. The agricultural showdown. The battle doesn't end with energy and automobiles. Canada is one of America's top agricultural trade partners, with bilateral trade in wheat, canola, meat, and dairy products valued at nearly $45 billion in 2024. On March 27, 2025, Carney delivered yet another warning: they should not think that our hand is weak in agriculture. The message was clear: Canada is willing to use its food exports as a bargaining chip. The numbers tell a worrying story. In 2024 alone, Canada exported $6 billion worth of canola seeds to the EU, a crucial component of America's food supply chain. If that flow is interrupted, prices could skyrocket. Livestock farmers, dependent on Canadian feed, could face devastating shortages. One EU agriculture lobbyist put it bluntly: if this trade chain breaks, food inflation could spiral out of control. And what was Carney's response to growing concerns? A chilling statement on March 29, 2025, there are no guarantees in any area, including agriculture. The bigger picture, an economic earthquake in the making. Canada and the EU exchange more than $900 billion in goods and services annually. This is one of the largest bilateral trade relationships in the world. And yet, recent events prove just how fragile it truly is. On March 27, 2025, Carney underscored Canada's new direction, confirming that Ottawa is aggressively pursuing deeper trade ties with Europe and Asia. His visits to France and the UK sent a clear signal. Canada is looking beyond its traditional trade ties with the EU. The European press wasted no time, running bold headlines. Is Canada breaking free from America's shadow? Carney's response was cryptic yet revealing. We are developing our own policy. As of March 30, 2025, Canada's retaliatory measures, dubbed the April 2 retaliation, remain unclear. However, leaks suggest that additional tariffs on automotive, metals, and agriculture are on the table. When it comes to energy, Canada seems more focused on diversifying its markets rather than cutting exports outright, at least for now. But will Washington retaliate? Some reports suggest that the Trump administration is already considering harsher tariffs. Meanwhile, Ottawa remains defiant, making it clear that it is willing to escalate further if necessary. Diplomacy or trade war, what happens next? Carney left the door open for negotiations, stating, "I am always open to dialogue, but I cannot accept unilateral demands." Still, history has shown that economic battles like this rarely end cleanly. Could this crisis reshape North America's trade landscape for good? And if so, who will come out on top? Now, it's your turn to weigh in. Is this just political theater, or are we on the verge of a historic shift in global trade? Will Canada's bold stance pay off, or will it backfire? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more updates, because this economic showdown is just getting started.